Hello and welcome in this new episode on our TMS WEB Core TWebDataGrid and its DB-aware variant, the TWebDBDataGrid. In this video today, we'll deal with editing data in the grid, sorting and filtering on a column level, and also using the pagination feature in our WebDataGrid and its DB variant, the TWebDBDataGrid. So we'll explain how you can use editing and how you can enable it at column level, as well as select the type of editor that you have at column level, how you can enable sorting per column, and how you can programmatically invoke a sort, and the same for filtering, how you can enable it at column level and programmatically invoke the filtering. And we'll also explain you how you can enable pagination and how you also can work with the options there are in connection with pagination in the WebDataGrid. So, time to jump in our Delphi IDE, where we'll cover these capabilities step by step. So, our Delphi IDE, Delphi 13, and we have 4 WEB Core applications showing today in this video: editing, filtering, sorting, and pagination in our WebDataGrid. So let's turn first to editing, where I have created a grid with 5 columns. 5 columns where I will show you different cell editors per column. So you can see that we have a text column, Boolean column, number column, date string column, and a selection column. When I double click the grid at design time, I get access to the column collection editor, where I can select each of these columns and change the characteristics of the column. And so here I can set editable to true, for example, and here with the edit mode type I can select the in-place editor that will be used in this column. Here it is set to CET default, that is the default editor, and that is in the web world simply an HTML input control without any specific filters on what kind of characters you can add in that HTML input. It just accepts any characters, so that is alphabetic characters, number characters, symbols, etc. It is all accepted. Next column is a Boolean column, and it's a kind of logical that I use a checkbox. Edit mode type is CET checkbox to edit these Boolean values in my second column. And then the number column, that is for having number values. The edit mode type is CET number. It's editable, and it will offer an edit control where you can only add numbers and where you also have spin buttons to change the value entered up and down. Then we have on the 4th place a date column, so we will use a date picker as in-place editor, so the edit mode type is set to CET date. Here, by the way, are all the different cell in-place editors that are available and can be selected from in our WebDataGrid and also the WebDBDataGrid. So we have selected the date type date selector as in-place editor for this column. And the last column is a column that contains a combo box as in-place editor. It's selected here, CET combo box, and when we say combo box, we also have a capability to set the values for our column combo box, and that is done via the select options property at column level. If we open this, it starts the collection editor for the values of our combo box. You can see that we have 5 values here, and you can see that the text value is set for each of the items in our combo box. And we optionally also have a value property that is in cases where the displayed text is different from the value that should be entered in the grid when selecting an item from our combo box. So there is not much more to this than explaining that the data that is used to set up that grid is based on a JSON array. So we have simply created and filled here a JSON array of values, text values, a Boolean value, a numeric value, a date value in JSON then, and here another value for our combo box that is a text value that you can change via the combo box. When I run this demo, this is what we see in our web browser, and you can see that here we can enter text and numbers, anything goes in our CED default in place editor. A simple combo box, a checkbox to edit a Boolean value, and here I cannot enter characters, only numbers are allowed, and I have my spin buttons to change the value up or down. And then we have a date picker as in place editor to allow you to quickly select a date. And finally, in the last column, we have a drop down, a combo box, where we can select different values that were preset, in this case for our combo box in the last column. And with that, I hope you have already a good insight of the many cell in place editors available in our WebDataGrid, how you can specify these and how you can also change properties for these different cell editors. And let's move with this to sorting in our WebDataGrid. And here is this example with two columns. And if I open up my column collection editor, you can see I have here a sortable column and a not sortable column, and the column has a property sortable. Obviously it's here set to false, and for this one set to true. That actually means that when it is false, the end user from the web application cannot trigger a sort by clicking on the column header. When it's sortable, that is the way the end user can trigger the sorting in the grid. Other than triggering sorting by clicking on the column header, it is of course also possible to programmatically invoke sorting, and that is done in the following way: by actually at column level invoke the sort method. So what we do here is locate the column based on the column name, and on the located column we call the sort method with the first parameter, the sort order, ascending, descending, or none. That means ascending, going from small to large values, or the other way around. When we set the sort order back to none, the order of the rows returns to the original order in which the rows were loaded in the grid. And the second parameter here is a Boolean parameter. That is whether the sorting should be applied to a possibly already sorted grid, or if it should trigger a new sort, if that column will then be the main new sort that is applied to the grid. And I also have a clear sorting, so programmatically returning back the grid in the default order of rows. That is what is programmatically done via column-defs.clear sorting. And let's run this application and see everything in action. So here's my application in my web browser, and I can click here to trigger the sorting, ascending, descending, and back to the original row order. And here I have an unsortable column, so clicking anywhere in this column header does not invoke any changes. That does not mean, of course, that I cannot programmatically sort. When I click here, sort unsortable column, programmatically I can of course override this and invoke a sorting on this column. And I can also sort the sortable column programmatically. That does not take the sortable column in account for programmatic sorts. Or I can also clear the sorting. That means bring back the grid in the original order in which the rows were loaded in the grid. And from sorting to filtering in our third example, let's have a look at the form where I have a grid, and grid that is initialized in this case here by creating a CSV string. So we have data that we have configured as CSV data, and we use the method load from CSV string. So we set up a string that is having the column information formatted in CSV format, and we use that to load the CSV string in the grid. And here we have programmatically enabled filtering on 2 columns in the grid by setting the filter property at column level to true. That means that equivalent to how you can enable end user sorting on a column, you can also enable end user filtering on a column. So where filter is true, the end user will be able to click on the filter icon in these columns and start or use the filter pop-up from there to perform the filtering. We've also included programmatic filtering in this demo, and here you can see 2 examples. So what we do here is, first of all, we locate the column on which we want to apply the filtering, and then we call the apply filter method with, first of all, the type of data for which we want to perform a filter operation. Here the filter operation itself, and that filter operation, of course, for textual data is different than a filter operation for numeric data. And here we can set the filter value itself, the value on which we want to filter. So here programmatically we set up a filter that is based on text data, and that is the contains filter operation. So any text that contains this hash 1 will be filtered in the grid. And in a kind of similar way, we will perform filtering on the number column. So we locate that column, then we call apply filter. That data type here is numbers in this column. And as it concerns numbers, we can set the operation, for example, to greater than or equal, and the value, of course, will be a numeric value that we use as a filter condition. So let's compile and run this application, and here we can see that for these 2 columns the filtering by the end user is indeed enabled. And so when I click this filter icon, I can see that my filter pop-up appears, and I can already select here the value. Here you can see if I ask any rows that contain character 3, the filtering is immediately applied. If I remove that value, it has by end user undone that filtering. And for the number column, here I have these typical operators for filtering on numbers, and here I can, for example, say less than 10, and you can see that here only rows with values less than 10 are shown in our grid. I can also clear all the filters programmatically here, and then apply a new filtering via code. And so here I have invoked the filtering, retrieving the items that contain the text hash 1, for example. And if I would add an additional filter to that for values with larger or equal than 25 in the number column, these 2 filters are combined. And I can, of course, clear both filtering applied to these columns. I can clear that also from these button clicks programmatically. So that covered our filtering in our WebDataGrid, and the final part that I wanted to show you is the pagination capability in our WebDataGrid. So let's open this specific sample. First of all, I will show you how the data is loaded. Also here we set up data formatted as CSV data, And here in this case, we have 300 rows that we load in the grid, and we load it with load from CSV string and passing through the CSV formatted data. To control the pagination, here we have a number of controls. We have also actually at grid level several properties that we can use to enable pagination or not, to set the page size and page size selector. What we can do here with these controls is do that or invoke that programmatically at runtime in the application. So if we inspect the code, whenever these controls change, update pagination is called, and with update pagination we can see that the grid's pagination properties are set at runtime. And that's enough to get the grid to start its pagination. So let's run this application and have a look at how this results. So here we have a grid with no pagination and 300 rows. And so if we enable pagination, 20 rows per page, obviously for 300 rows we will have 15 pages in our grid. We can walk through these pages, and we can also change the page size from here. What I can also do, of course, is change the page size, and for example change also the page size selector and have it select values 50, 100 and 150. And so you can see that this drop down has been updated with my new values. And obviously when I have a page size of 100, there are only 3 pages when I have 300 rows in my WebDataGrid. And what I've shown here applies also to the DB aware version of our grid. The only difference here is that in the WebDataGrid the data is loaded from CSV data generated at runtime. When I would have used the WebDBDataGrid, then the data would be retrieved from a client dataset in our web application. I hope this triggered your curiosity for the WebDataGrid and the DBDataGrid and its capabilities for editing, filtering, sorting and pagination. These demos are included in the latest version of TMS WEB Core, so you can explore and experiment with all these exciting options in our WebDataGrid. If you like this video, don't forget to click the like button below, and if you want to be informed automatically about upcoming videos on WebDataGrid or any other TMS products, don't forget to subscribe on this channel. Thank you very much for all the time and for watching this video. Explore the WebDataGrid in the latest TMS WEB Core, and know that our support team is of course also available for you when you have any additional questions or you have further feedback on our components. Thank you very much, until the next episode.